I feel it's very dark.
Oh, it says the broadcast is live. Okay.
That always leaks into the frame. I just switched off one light. The
Okay, I
charger
think we're
lights.
ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Yeah. Um, Today marks the grand finale of the e-publication of the marvelous Shobha's Lockdown Liaisons. And on behalf of Simon and Schuster India, I welcome all of you. We've reached the final week of publishing these weekly installments of short stories in a unique new digital format. Short stories that are urgent and relevant, set in the present moment, in which every one of us is struggling to make sense of the pandemic. Today, we're especially happy to have with us Lillete Dubey and Ira Dubey. It's a real privilege for all of us to have this opportunity to listen to the performative readings that they are going to do of a couple of stories from Lockdown Liaisons. Now I'll ask Shobhaa Day to say a few words, please.
Thanks, Imanjali. First of all, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've been writing like a woman possessed for the last few months, and I can't believe that we've reached the end of the series, and I'm going to miss it a lot because those stories really kept me buoyant through a very difficult time through the pandemic. We were all looking for answers, looking for something to hang on to. For me, it was words, and they gave me so much comfort. And I have to thank Himanjali and Rahul Srivastav, and of course the team at Simon and Schuster, Mrudu, Shobita, Abhay. Without them and without my agent Kanishka Gupta, this wouldn't have happened because, as we've all discovered, the 4 C's in our lives, which is really compatibility, I mean, you've got to be compatible with the people you love, working together and doing it with all your heart to make it fly, to get it to take off. So with me, it was exactly that. I found the right partnership, and for the finale, I really couldn't have asked for a better finale. Not only are Lillete and Ira like family to me, but their impeccable credentials as theatre people, as international level actors who have excelled in their fields and worked together, worked individually, created a niche for the last so many years. It's like seeing their success has made me, as their friend, feel a part of that success indirectly, but so very proud of both of them. It's a big thank you for both of you for coming on board for the finale, and everybody else watching, our viewers, and the media who will be attending. Everybody, welcome. We hope to make this the most exciting finale for a series that gave me a lot. And I hope this is a small way of returning what I felt during these months when the pandemic is still on. But when we started, we were hoping that it would be a slightly safer and a less troubled world. Clearly, we have a long way to go. We have to wait for that to happen. So, thank you again, all of you, for being a part of this wonderful project.
Yeah. So let me introduce Lillete Dubey, and so that we can directly go into what we are here for, the readings.
Thank you so much, Shobha Auntie. That was very lovely. Thank you.
Yes, very sweet.
We're delighted to be here.
Yes, happy, honored, and very proud of what you've written. And as I was telling you, I had my eye on it for the stage as well. So well done.
Lovely.
I haven't read all of it, but it shows a great range, and it shows your connection with people at all kinds of levels in society that were going through the lockdown. So I thought that was quite marvelous because obviously you were not sitting inside a migrant's house, but you were sitting in
Yeah,
his head. So that was quite lovely.
lovely, yes.
Yes.
And there are 24 stories, so there are 24 different voices.
Yes.
It was a challenge because I had to keep switching characters as I wrote the stories,
Yes.
and for me that was really the exciting part of it. I could occupy those 24 characters, their skins, their minds, their hearts, their lives, and I'm so glad you appreciated it, Lynette.
Yeah,
And I'm
because
looking forward to the reading. We're all here for that.
yes, even the voices of all of them, from the migrant to the TV star, they all spoke differently. They had a different way of construction of language and all that. I mean, it seems to have come quite effortlessly to you, but it's
I wish. I I was like a woman possessed, sweating blood because I had these deadlines, and Himanjali was an incredibly wonderful editor to have because she pushed when she needed to. Because deadlines are deadlines, as you know, and I know. I mean,
Yeah,
when you're doing a play, no
of
one's going to
course.
wait till you're fully ready with your lines. You jolly well have to go out there and perform. So, thanks again, Himanjali, and the whole team.
Thank you. I'll do the introduction for Lillete Dubey, and then we can have the reading. Lillete Dubey is a
So,
renowned
Lilette
Indian
will tell us
film.
the story
Yeah,
she's reading from.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is a renowned Indian film, television, and stage actor and a theatre director. She has been artistic director of her own theatre company, the PrimeTime Theatre Company, for over 29 years. Several of the company's productions, directed by Ms. Dubey, have traveled widely across India and abroad with shows at the Bloomsbury Theatre in London, at the Tribeca in New York, at the Portland International Performance Festival in the US, etc., etc. One of her most notable productions, Dance Like a Man by Mahesh Dattani, is the longest running Indian play in English, having completed over 650 shows across the world, including a 2 week off Broadway run. I watched this play in my college days, like several decades ago, and it stayed with me since. It was really powerful and completely riveting. Miss Dubey has acted in over 65 movies and TV shows, both national and international, and in over 40 plays. She has won many Best Actress awards for her plays and movies at national and international festivals. Just an instance, she won Best Actress for the movie Bo Barracks Forever at the Madrid International Film Festival in 2008. I'm sorry, but I just randomly chose to mention this from the very many awards she has won, since Bo Barracks is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I remember
Wow.
how brilliant Lillete Dubey is in it. So the list of accomplishments is unending, but I've made this introduction as short as I humanly could, and I now request Lillete to read the story that she's planning to from Shobhaa Day's Lockdown Liaisons.
Yes. So, hello everyone. I'm very happy and proud to be reading from my friend Shobha Day's new book, Lockdown Liaisons. As I just said before, it shows a very wide range of voices and stories, and each of them will touch you in a different way. The one that we've all chosen for me to read may sound like it's set in a world which is a little sort of elitist, but I think what it says is very universal and very, very moving. It's called Lockdown Funeral. And now you'll see that I have done 40 plays and 65 shows because I probably have to put on my glasses to read this. So, Lockdown Funeral. This side, ladies, this side, please. Could we have the music off, please, if you don't mind, Abhay? Yeah, thank you. Sorry, we'll take that again. Lockdown Funeral. This side, ladies, this side, please. There was no need for the priest to intervene in such a crude way. After all, we were only 18 people at the funeral. We were there to say our final farewell to M, the man I had been married to for 32 years, till, well, what's the point of that till? He was dead now. The police had said no more than 20 people at this electric crematorium near the sea. My first time at a crematorium, electric or otherwise. Our religious practices were different, you see. But let me not go into that. Even though M had not died of COVID-19 and could have followed our faith, he had left instructions about his last rites as soon as he knew the end was close. Besides, we had not spoken to each other in 22 years, not exchanged a single word. Not even when our beloved son got married, then our lovely daughter. M had left me by then, just like that, left for that one. I never used her name. That one was good enough. I had not seen her after M walked away that awful afternoon when the three of us sat in the living room of what was our home, mine and M's. And our staff knew when to disappear. M had come to plead for a divorce and brought that one with him. Why? I had screamed and almost pushed her out of the front door. Em had stood like a shield in front of her and told me to step aside so they could come in. What could I have done? I had let loose my tongue and called her names, called him names. Obviously, you are breaking up our beautiful family, our beautiful life. Have you no shame? What sort of woman are you? I had said, my green-brown cat eyes flashing as I gathered my silk flowing kaftan around my slim body and stuck out my breasts, allowing cleavage to peep through the deep neckline. I wanted her to see what Em had seen in me for all these years. I was a beauty, admired by society, respected for my lineage. I had my position, my money, talent, looks, the very reasons that had made Em pursue me till I said yes. Granted, M came from an even wealthier family, and his lineage was impeccable too. And what was that one? A nothing, a nobody, no family background, no legacy, and frankly, no looks. She was what we called common. M was such a snob. What had he seen in her? I was baffled and livid. Em and I represented the upper crust in our small community. We were the couple, envied, admired by all. Our homes, our cars, our art, our soirees. Yes, we had it all. That one was an upstart, no background to speak of. And he had fallen for her? What did she have to hold a man of such taste and refinement? Just to give you a small but significant example, M liked me in pearls. That one preferred diamonds. The bigger, the better. You know, the kind NRI women wear to impress other NRI women. I found that so vulgar. At our home, M liked Western-style dinners, 3 or 4 course meals, a change of service, etc. That one was more a butter chicken type, who probably served gajar ka halwa for dessert. What can I say? I still don't understand what M saw in her. How could they have attended concerts together? Could she even pronounce concerto or know what it was? I was horrified when a friend of ours from London sent me a video of M dancing with her at some hideous sangeet, with everybody wearing the most garish ethnic clothes. I couldn't get over M, dressed like a bandmaster in some embroidered ethnic outfit with a shiny stole draped around his shoulders. This man, who wore a black tie like a proper English aristocrat, was making an idiot of himself, shaking his hips to trashy Bollywood songs. I was so embarrassed. Of course, I sent it to our children. I mean, they needed to know how ridiculously their father was behaving. Had he gone completely mad? They surprised me by saying, "But Ma, doesn't Dad look happy?" What on earth did they mean? Is that called happiness? He didn't look happy, he looked drunk. And he was behaving like a complete idiot. It was only when M decided to move back to India and into a palatial penthouse that I started feeling really awkward. After all, Mumbai may be a large city, but socially, there are only a few old families that count, like ours. We meet the same set all the time, at the club, over dinners and lunches, at the races, and of course, during art and charity auctions. That one was a complete misfit in our circle. She was so dreadfully gauche. While they lived in London, I was okay with it. But this was a bit too close for me to pretend I didn't care. Mind you, it wasn't about the divorce settlement, or the heirloom jewelry or cash or anything like that. M had been more than fair and given me whatever I'd demanded, and more. The children had been settled as well, so it wasn't about material comforts. It was just the acute embarrassment of running into them somewhere. And because of that fear, I stopped going out. My children used to meet both of them quite often, and they kept their meetings from me. Silly things. I would find out from the old cook who now worked for them, and M's old driver whose son works for me. The jeweler would also tell me what that one had ordered. And we would laugh at her taste. She didn't belong to our world at all. And that's what bothered me the most. Oh well, when M felt ill in Bombay, I felt a little bad and would have liked to visit him in hospital. But I stopped myself. I couldn't stand the thought of running into that one. She was there all the time. I heard she barely went home to change, and then she'd be right back to maintain her vigil by M's bedside. If she left him, even for an hour, he would start asking for her, summoning the nurses and making a big fuss. Not once did he utter my name or ask for me. The children said M was looking very frail and had shrunk to half his size. Frankly, I wanted to go and sit next to him and sing his favorite arias or play his most loved symphonies, something that one couldn't possibly do or understand. He used to enjoy my singing, even though mine was not a trained voice. I was no Kalas, I knew that. M used to say I sang like Celine Dion and even looked a bit like her. Such a flatterer. He could certainly belt out Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin numbers, and boy, oh boy, the two of us jiving on the dance floor used to pull in an audience. I would have liked to dance just for him. Yes, right there around the hospital bed, just to remind him of happier times. Or take a big slice of pineapple cream cake, Bori-style mutton samosas, asparagus mousse. Oh, I knew M's palate. But that was out of the question with her around, guarding him like a hawk. I suppose she must have loved him in her own way. I did feel very jealous of their togetherness, especially during the lockdown. I had never felt this isolated and alone in our beautiful home. Even though M was in and out of ICU, at least he had her by his side and our loving children who looked after him so well. And then came the news he had slipped away. It was the 70th day of the lockdown, and Mumbai was still closed. All those checks and nakabandis with police stopping cars and asking nosy questions were still going on and on. I was as fed up as everyone else. When my son called to say M had passed, I sighed and said nothing at all. There was nothing to say, but everything to feel. I disconnected and asked for green tea. I stroked my cat and stared at our wedding photograph. How young and happy and gorgeous we looked. I didn't feel sad. I felt empty and a little numb. I looked at my chipped nail polish and smiled. Em was very particular about well-manicured nails. I didn't have nail polish remover in my bathroom closet, and the shops were still closed. I walked across to the large silver frame mirror in the anteroom. This was our favorite spot for aperitifs before dinner. We would listen to Chopin, chat about a play we'd enjoyed, or laugh at our relatives before heading to the dining room. It was one ritual I really missed. We made a good couple, a handsome couple, admired, adored by so many. Well, such is life, I thought, as my beautiful Persian with large green eyes purred and arched his back. M had planned his funeral well. I was mentally prepared and all that. My children had applied for the appropriate permissions, and we were told to assemble at the crematorium by 5 p.m. I wanted to look dignified, regal, and beautiful. M liked me in blue. I had kept the ice blue chiffon with a matching blouse pressed and ready for weeks. I'd be wearing the Basra pearls M had gifted to me on our 5th anniversary. And our engagement ring, of course. Perhaps I would skip the pearl and diamond bracelet, but definitely wear the vintage platinum Patek Philippe we had acquired at an auction in Hong Kong. Lipstick, for sure. M liked me wearing a particular Lacombe red. He said it suited my complexion. But my hair was at its worst. The soft perm had grown out, the mahogany color had faded, and the highlights resembled nasty errors committed by a child with a paintbrush. Oh, I was looking my worst, not joking. I was dreading to see what that one would show up in. And I was, for the first time in my life, feeling diffident. What if her nails were perfectly painted, her hair trimmed and styled, with no roots showing? What if she'd been gymming all through M's illness and her body was in great shape? What if she'd planned her outfit as much for him as for us? Would she wear his favorite shade of ice blue and overshadow me? The florist was shut. There was just no beauty, no dignity left in a lockdown funeral, was there? I would have ordered tokeries and tokeries of fragrant mogras. M loved jasmines, and they were in season. I would have sourced tiger lilies and long stemmed white roses and draped his body in his favorite old Jamawar shawl. And was such a bon vivant. I would have made sure he left the world in the grand style that he had lived his life. It was no longer in my hands. How sad. Driving 5 odd kilometers in our adored Jag, the silver grey Mark 7, I stared at Mumbai's deserted streets. My heart was as stripped of emotions as the roads were of crowds. I looked out at the sea as we drove past Marine Drive. No lovers sitting on the parapet. Mumbai had no love left anymore. M had died. Hundreds of people were dying everywhere. Mumbai itself was dying. Why blame just the virus? Something much worse was corroding everything. Hate. At that awful moment, I was filled with dread. Would that one spot me before I spotted her? I swept in, my head held high, just as I had rehearsed 100 times at home before the full-length mirror on my Burma teak Almira. It still bore M's aftershave fragrance. Heaven knows how. Or maybe my nostrils held its memory. I spotted a few familiar faces: M's doctor, his staff, my children, a couple of what I called oldie goldies. In my mind, they had grown old, not me. I still couldn't spot her. Had she decided it was wiser and more discreet to stay away? I looked quizzically at my daughter, and she averted my gaze. Standing next to her and being held in a light embrace was a tiny, shrunken bag of bones, bent over with grief, and hardly able to look up. She was dressed in what we would call home clothes, an unironed cotton kaftan with block print. Her hair was in an untidy bun, with strands of fading grey framing a thin face. She was wearing bifocals, much too large for her thin face. Her skin was spotted, and she wore no makeup. I guessed it was her when I recognized M's old watch on her emaciated wrist, the sturdy Daytona. M called it a workhorse and preferred it to some of his far more expensive, complicated watches. Why would this woman be wearing his watch unless? In that one brief moment, I was freed. I went and took my place on the other side of my daughter. The 3 women in M's life were together in grief. Finally, it was all over.
Beautiful, Mama.
Thank you.
Lillete, the story sounded so much better than the one I wrote.
No.
That has to do with you. It really does. What a reading. It was fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank
My
you so
pleasure.
much. This
I
is
love
professionalism. This is professionalism at its cutting edge. I have to say, I have to share this. The first time ever that I saw you, we didn't know each other then. It was over maybe 30 years ago. We were all in Goa at the Taj village where we
That's
spent our
right.
summers, a lot of us.
Yeah.
The babies were little. Ira and Neha were in the pool, and so was your wonderful, wonderful husband, who my husband and I had so much regard for, Ravi. Dapper and charming and kind and compassionate. And
Yes.
there I
Absolutely.
heard this voice. So I I just whipped around stairs and said, where's that voice coming from? And I have to tell you, you looked like $1,000,000 in that pool, wearing a bikini. You had a cocktail at the edge of the pool, something very beautiful to look at, blue in color, and a cigarette in
Margarita.
the other hand, a cigarette in the other hand, and you were talking to some friends at the other side of the pool, and that voice, my God, I think we all just stopped and said, "Oh my God," we all fell in love with you immediately.
Oh,
So
darling.
that's my first memory, and of course we became
Just
good
hang
friends
on to
after that.
that, okay? That image. Just hang on to that image. When
No,
I'm
Lilette, you've just
7 born,
grown
just
more
hang
and
on to
more
that image.
mellow, beautiful, different. We all have grown in
Yes,
our different ways.
yes,
So
yes,
it's not
absolutely.
that person anymore, but it is this person who's glorious, and the voice never changes, right? The voice
Yes.
is still
When
there.
I
Try
was
it out, honey.
18,
Let's go back to the Taj village and have that little test by the pool
yeah,
whenever that opens
margaritas
in it.
in the pool. I have to tell you two very interesting incidents about my voice. Okay.
Yeah.
When I was 18, and there was an American director who came down and he told me, and that time I hadn't started smoking. He said, "Honey, you have a gin and cigarettes voice." I said, "But I don't drink gin and I don't smoke cigarettes." He said, "Well, then you're just born with it." And then the other wonderful compliment, people always say, "What's the best compliment you've got about your voice?" And I said, when I'm shooting for a film called Gadar, uh, there used to be tons of people in the lobby because Sunny Deol was in the film, and this was being shot in Amritsar. This was Deol country. They are just
Yeah.
adored over there. So
Yeah.
so there used to be millions of people standing in the lobby. And one day when I came down, there were these cordons and big hurly burly, sort of security people. There was a small, very small Sardarji who was clamoring for me. He wanted to talk to me. So I said, the chap said, "No, you can't talk," and all that. So he said that, I said, "Look, what is he going to do? I mean, at best, he'll impale me with his turban." I mean, there's nothing more he can do. So anyway, he came into me, and I think he gave me the cutest compliment. He said, "मैडम," in Punjabi, मैंने आपको एक छोटी सी गल कहनी है। आपका जो साउंड बॉक्स है ना, कमाल दा है। आप ना अमिताभ बच्चन है लेडीज की।
There you go. That's wow, what a compliment. How
One of the
lovely.
cutest things
So
I've ever
it was the
heard.
voice, and yeah, and much
So
more so. And of course, I watched all your plays. I haven't watched Devika yet, which I plan to, Devika Rani.
yes,
But
yes.
with a
This one
voice
did
like that,
fabulous.
and your, I know, your entire body of work. I mean, the probably the most envied moment in your career for a lot of
Um,
silly fangirls. You know which one?
Yeah,
yes, yes,
we all
yes.
Yeah,
know.
We all
yeah,
We
we
know.
all
all know.
know
But for
that.
those who
That's
may not know, for those who may not know, it's Richard Gere wooing Lillete in that film, which is very charming, and you even danced with him, and he pursues you in that film like hmm. And for me, that image of Lillete and Richard Gere, apart from all your monsoon wedding, the other image, early image of
Yeah,
you in the loo, again, sorry to bring up the smoking, but you smoke exceedingly well in the sense it looks very elegant when you smoke. And you're trying to get rid of it's the big secret in the family that you smoke, and everyone comes looking for you, and you're in the loo having your secret smoke, and
yeah,
you're how many women would identify with that? So
yes,
there
Yeah.
are lots of scenes and lots of moments from your movies and from your plays, Dance Like a Man, which I've seen twice, it could be thrice. So Lilette, this has been such a privilege. So thanks very, very
Thank
much
you,
for
darling.
this.
It was an honor. It was an honor to read, and I'm serious. I'm going to make something out of it for stage for sure.
Oh,
For
that's
sure.
fabulous. Let's do something
Yeah,
together for sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
now on to the next superstar in the family, that is Ira.
So,
Himanjali, you want to
yeah,
introduce Ira?
yes.
Let's even skip the
No, no, no,
introduction.
no. No skipping. Mama's talking. Mama speak. Mama voice now.
No, I would love
That's
to do
what
the
I wanted to
introduction.
do in my own house, mother. So I didn't have mother's voice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in your head.
Beautiful reading, mother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Himanjali, all yours. Make it short.
No, it's not very short, but okay. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Ira Dubey and request her to read from Lockdown Liaisons for us. Ira Dubey is an acclaimed Indian actress who has appeared on TV, in theatre, and in Bollywood movies. Um, She's been actively involved in performance since the age of 6. Ira Dubey majored in theatre studies at Yale University. Ira's theatrical work in India includes leading roles in 30 Days in September, Wedding Album, Aadhe Adhure, a modern Hindi classic, the popular and critically renowned August, Osage County. And since September 2014, she has been performing and touring with a much talked about one-woman show, Heather Raffo's 9 Parts of Desire, a solo piece about the lives of 9 Iraqi women grappling with survival, love, loss, and the desires of women living in a country overshadowed by war. This play has completed over 85 shows worldwide and is directed by Lillete Dubey. With well-known production houses, Ira has also played evergreen character roles like that of Laura in Tennessee Williams' Glass Menagerie, Portia in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, and Nora in Ibsen's A Doll's House. Ira has also acted in a range of movies, from popular household movies like Aisha and Dear Zindagi to the award-winning short film Bin Bulaya, which was nominated for a Filmfare Award for Best Film as well as for her performance as Best Actress. In addition to acting, Ira Dubey has been a film critic on Sony Pix for 2 years on a weekly show, and has also been a host for numerous shows both on television and on the stage. She's set to produce and act in her first short film, The Daughter, this year. The movie is inspired by true events. Ira, the stage, or what goes for stage these days, is yours. Over to you.
Thank you. So I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm just going to introduce the story, and I think we're going to talk about the stories and the book a little bit later. So this one is called Vodka and No Tonic. I hate this lockdown nonsense, okay? As it is, we were having problems in our marriage, his work, my work, usual story. Then came this bloody fucking lockdown. And after 20 days, I was ready to die of coronavirus rather than spend one more day and night with this awful man. The thing is, I didn't know he was awful till the lockdown happened. In fact, I thought I'd married a nice chappie. We knew each other from before getting hitched and all that. Not as if one fine day our parents came up with a rishta and we said yes. Nor was it one of those bakwas dating sites or an NRI type of kahani. We lived in the same colony. We were both 4G bachas. We understood each other's lifestyles. Our schooling was similar. We worked hard, did MBA and all that. Separately, of course. So hard work was not some new concept. We were not Ambanis, Birlas and Tatas. Solid middle class values. But we had big dreams. Why lie? We wanted to make it big in the world. Travel from Tokyo to Paris. Do fun stuff together. Set up an amazing home. Party sharty with friends. Typical. Our wedding was so much fun, yaar. All the events put together by a wedding planner so nicely. Just the other day, I was watching the videos on my laptop and thinking, yaar, look at these. How happy we look. And I thought looked super hot, especially during the bikini shoot in Phuket, where we went with 4 other couples for a youngsters party. Watching those videos during the lockdown added to my depression. It was all past tense. Our lives had changed forever. And I knew no matter how hard we both tried, our marriage would never be the same again. Vicky has changed. That much is pakka. He says I have changed. Lies. I'm still the same Manju. Ask my friends. We chat and have Zoom parties every other evening, just to remind ourselves we are alive. Vicky finds all of this stupid and refuses to join us. He locks himself in the bedroom, creates a racket just to disturb the fun. Of course, I drink during these virtual parties. Why not, yaar? It's not a crime. What else does he expect me to do? Jappo amala. Just because he has 0 friends, he's jealous of mine. I'm friendly and sociable, okay? He used to be like that also. We had common friends. Then he slowly changed, which he denies. How can he deny this? Why blame everything on the lockdown? I told him not to give me excuses and keep running away from the real issues. The truth is, we no longer sleep together. I admit it was my decision to give sex a break. It was getting too much for me. I worked in Gurugram and he in Noida. We were both doing brilliantly. the money, the perks, all good. But the hours were long, and we both had to travel a lot. Naturally, this would lead to fatigue. All my girlfriends told me the same thing. So my group decided to get off this whole sex ka chakkar for a while. Let's detox sexually, we said. And laughed a lot. I was relieved I wasn't the only woman sick of sex. But Vicky took it very personally. He thought I was rejecting him. I said there's a difference between rejecting sex and rejecting him. He didn't get it and stopped talking to me. 2 days after this happened, lockdown also happened. We were stuck. And my life got fucked. Our apartment is not small, but it's not spacious either. We have a balcony and all that. The same balcony from which I feel like jumping off these days when things get too much. Then I look at my plants, which I love, and say to myself, I can't do such a terrible thing to them. After all, what have they done? And if I die, they will also die, since Vicky will not water them. He refuses. Once, when I was busy on my work call and requested him to just water them, since they looked thirsty, he flatly refused, saying rudely, it's not my job. I was hurt. As if watering plants is a job. Those plants are my real babies, since we don't have a baby together. And this is his reaction. What if we had a kid in this situation? A kid without a maid and the two of us trying to cope? I would definitely have jumped out with the kid. Because I know Vicky would not have helped take care of our baby either. He said watering the plants was not his job. Then what is his job? I forgot to mention, he's been laid off. So he doesn't have any other job. Maybe he's jealous that I still have mine. But that he won't admit. The house is in my name. Why? Because the loan is also in my name. Of course, we both shared the EMIs, but even then I paid more than he did, since I earn more. This was never a problem till the lockdown. We used to even joke about it, and he would tell friends, aren't I lucky? I'm a kept man. Manju keeps us in style. I would think, wow, Vicky's so confident, unlike other husbands. He doesn't have any ego hassles admitting I'm more successful. He's so secure. Now look at him, growling and sulking all day, cribbing about every little thing. It's difficult to sleep on the same bed night after night without accidentally touching one another. I mean, bodies shift at night, na? He flips out if my hand or leg falls over any part of him, as if I'm doing it on purpose. And then a whole drama follows. He angrily switches on all the lights. He switches off the air conditioner just to spite me. Even though it's April and it's close to 40 degrees outside, I am so hot, I complained, and he laughed. Oh, really? You? Hot? Dream on. I would have kept quiet. But I'm paying the electricity bills. So I let him have it. He picked up his phone, the latest, most expensive model I'd given him for his birthday just before the lockdown, and started to video record my outburst, saying, let your WhatsApp chat group see you like this. Then you'll know why I don't want to live with you. This was the first time he had uttered those words without actually saying divorce. So naturally, I screamed, you coward! Why can't you just say that you want to divorce me? This was exactly what he wanted to hear. I had used the D word, not him. He was armed with evidence. He waved the phone at me triumphantly. Oh, now let the fun begin. He thought of divorce as fun? Our divorce? Had he gone totally mad? I called my best friend, Shanti, the calm and mature one from the group. She was just a housewife, she would say at parties, and I would kick her ankle. Her advice was simple and sensible. See, Manju, it's because of the lockdown. People are going crazy across the world. Vicky didn't mean it. He must have felt you were provoking him, all this going on, in the middle of the night. You keep quiet, mind your own business, stay out of his path. Everything will be okay after the lockdown is lifted. I felt better. Made myself a coffee. He had stopped drinking my coffee a week or so ago. I went to my work desk and logged in. There were dozens of emails pending, the usual midweek chaos. My mind was very disturbed, and I felt a vodka tonic would help me get through the long day. So I went to the cabinet to look for the bottle of Belvedere we had bought at duty free during our last trip to Bali. It was missing. What the fuck? I stormed into the bedroom and I found Vicky fast asleep even though it was 11 in the morning. This had become a regular thing. I asked firmly, "Where's the Belvedere?" He opened one eye and laughed into my face. "Lipstick in the morning? Pearls! Must be a special video conference. Looking for a new catch already?" I went and shook him, a little roughly, I admit, and he jumped back. "I will call the police and report you for assaulting me." I stood motionless and stared at the man I thought I knew so well and had once loved. Yes, loved. I composed myself and hissed, "Just give me the bottle. Now." He grinned and said, "What bottle? It's not your bottle. It's mine. I paid for it, remember?" I heard myself say, "Okay, I will pay you in cash right now. Just give me the fucking bottle." He continued to loll in bed as he mocked me by mimicking my Haryanvi accent. He was from Himachal and had been to a public school briefly. I couldn't take it. I just couldn't. I knew I was being stupid, but I rushed towards him and I lunged. In the bargain, I tripped over the Kashmiri bedside rug and I fell. It was a nasty fall. No blood, no cuts, no scratches, but several bruises and a black eye. I immediately reached for my phone and took a video of myself. I acted. I was so convincing. I sobbed and sniffled as I spoke about my husband assaulting me without the slightest provocation. I cut to images of me applying an ice pack to my rapidly puffing eye and cut to Vicky seated on a rumpled bed looking stupefied. Let's see what the lawyers have to say about this. I can't wait for the courts to open. Very nice. Very nice.
My God, ladies, if you can only see the comment strip. The comments are just
You've got
pouring
you've got a
in.
bestseller. I mean, you always have a bestseller, but now
And
you've got a bestseller plus plus.
my God, my God, my God. I have to join your acting school or something at this late stage. You can give me grandmother's role or something, huh, Lillete, in your next play. Yeah, what fun. No, I have to, like I mentioned the first time I met your mom, I have to say, it wasn't the first time, of course, that I met you, but I want to tell you that you are such a creature, a director's creature. How do I know? I'm not a director, but I've photographed you many times, and you
Oh,
take direction so very well. And you were so fluid and so easy. We were in Prague together not that long
yeah.
ago, I think a year and a half ago. And
Yes.
I photographed you quite a lot there. I photographed Lillete quite a lot there. I love those pictures. One day I'll exhibit all my portraits by day, but those pictures, I watched how you reacted to the camera, and I said, these are both are just natural born actors, These you can't go to film school and learn these skills. You can't acquire these skills. It's like lycra, you either have it or you don't. So, so
Oh,
darling,
thank you.
I want to ask you,
Thank you.
you went to Yale, and
Yeah.
you studied the craft theater and at Yale,
Yes.
and then you came into this rather chaotic world of movies as we make them in Bollywood and in India. Did you?
Yeah.
And even the theater scene is not probably what it is internationally, right? What was that?
Yes.
The disconnect. What did that feel like?
I
How did you
think
adjust?
it was always my dream. It's so strange that we're doing this now, Shobhanti, because reading your stories, it was really, it sort of resonated with me in many ways and many levels. And during the lockdown, I think all of us have had so much time for reflection. And just before this whole thing happened, I was considering going to New York to do some theater there and study more, and because I want to get into direction and things like that. And obviously that all has gone out the window. But yeah, when I first was studying in America, I didn't have a chance to study here. At that time there was FTII and there was NSD. That was it. If you wanted to actually study acting, study the technical technique of it. And so I was adamant since the age of 13, 14. I was like, I'm going abroad, I'm studying theater, I'm going to take this seriously. And so I was adamant. I remember mom and dad telling me, dad especially, that, great, you can do that, but, we can't afford it. It's really expensive to study there. And so I remember working like a dog and getting the scholarship to Yale. And of course, not many people know this, but I went to Yale, and then after 3 years of studying there, I dropped out. I took a year off, and then I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. Because yes, the theater scene in London and New York is probably the most vibrant in the world. And if I had the opportunity to stay on, I would have stayed on there and tried to work there. And I still contemplate doing that. But once you come back, and I was only 20 when I came back, I got sucked into life here and started working here immediately, working with mum, working with other theater groups. And yes, had one foot in Bollywood always, but basically had one foot there. So yeah, I mean, I think that things are changing in the last decade. I've seen a lot of young people who are interested in taking theater seriously. There's the drama school that started in Bombay. So they're not only teaching acting and directing, but they're teaching lighting design and set design. And so I think people are taking it more. Now the world has become smaller and smaller. So I think people are getting more aware, and people are getting very competitive, and they're actually considering something like acting a viable profession. And of course, Bollywood is Bollywood, and people come to Bombay to be Bollywood actors. So that'll never go away. No, but I think cinema is changing so much.
Because it says being low. So I'm taking my laptop and going straight to another area of the house and to continue the conversation, because I will quickly wrap it up by asking both of you the same exact question, which is that what has the pandemic actually taught you both? In what ways have you learned something significant from it, or how it's all worked out? It's been a period of great self discovery or a learning? Lillete, you want to take that?
Yeah.
I'm back in a different setting, but at least I'm back.
We can see you now much better, actually. So for me, since I'm not a social media
Okay.
animal, I did not talk a lot about things that were happening and all that. For me, I felt like it went two ways. Either you were very agitated and disturbed, and your equilibrium was shaken by this whole thing, like you said in your forward. It's an unprecedented dystopian kind of thing that has happened to all of us, and it really must give us pause, as Shakespeare said. So it went two ways. Either people needed to vent and talk a lot about it to other people and share and write on media and feel connected to the rest of the world, or I feel people went inward, or maybe even both happened simultaneously. I went inward and I became reflective, and I started thinking about things, and it's like moments like this. It's like you separate the chaff from the grain. You see what is really important in life for you. It comes down to the basics, the bare necessities, as Balu says in the Jungle Book. You come to that. You come to what is core for you. So for me, it was that also a great realization that work in my field may be at a halt for.
I'm losing you from time to time, so
I think your
forgive
network
me.
there,
It's something to do with the
there is still a bit dodgy.
I've lost you both right now.
Yes.
So I'll
The
just put
network.
the question out there. When you work together, is it tough? I wanted to know, what is it like in the green room when you're being raised by your mother, and how does it? Are you at each other's throats? And I know I'd kill one of my daughters if we were working together in such
Yeah,
proximity.
it's. I won't lie.
Temperaments and
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not. It's not.
Can you hear Shobhaa? 1 second, that lady is saying something.
I can see you now and I can hear you too.
Malvinara?
So
Yeah.
So
Is it tough in the green
yeah,
room just before you come
yeah.
on?
It is. I think the thing is, you have to see. Mama has raised two very feisty, independent women, very much like her. So it's very difficult. We have to submit to her being, the director. Of course, she's my mom, and whenever we get out of the rehearsal room in the car, we are back to being mother and daughter. But being in the rehearsal space with her, or being in a green room with her, means she is the boss. So
Yes.
yes, there is a lot of friction where I have to really like control my own independence and my own feistiness, or my own sort of whatever I want to contribute even creatively, and I have to really temper that in a way where she'll respond in the way that I want her to respond. Otherwise, yes,
So
there is
you
no
strategize.
yeah.
Like
Otherwise,
Devika Rani, it's a tough role. Devika Rani, tough role. So you
yeah.
strategize. How do I get the better of mom and do it my way?
No, I must
Something
say
like
that
that.
because she's my mother, she's a very tough director, but she's a wonderful director. She's an actor's director, and she has pushed me to do things as an actor that other people could probably not have done. So I have to thank her for that.
I think some of
And when
Era's work has been with the Primetime Theatre Company, because I think I
yeah,
need always to make her feel she has to challenge herself. Every time she does a role, she must go at least 2 steps forward from what you did.
That said, I brought you Nine Parts of Desire,
Yes,
which is
yes,
Shobhaa, you have to see that show. Nine
yes.
Parts of
I have.
Desire is a play about 9 Iraqi women, and the woman who wrote it spent a decade researching and interviewing and finding these stories, and it's based on real life women who are survivors in
Yeah.
Iraq. So it's a beautiful play, and it's a 80-minute solo, and I was totally taken with it. So I took it to mom and I said, "You have to direct me in this." And even Devika, I had to convince her. I said, "I can do it. I can be a 1930s Bollywood star." I know looking at me, you wouldn't believe it, but I said, "I can do it. I can do it." So then I pushed her, and she finally cast me.
Hmm.
So
But the mother-daughter dynamics are so incredible, aren't they? It's probably the most difficult relationship on
Most
earth. People don't
complex,
understand, but it
most
is, and
yeah,
complex.
people don't want to. Yeah, but no one wants to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
So
very
finally,
complex.
when you look at a story, look at a script, like if you've been reading the Lockdown Liaisons, as theater people, what is it that would jump out at you that will make you say, okay, this has potential. I can dramatize this. What would
I
that one thing be?
I think the different voices. I could hear all these characters. I could see them and I could hear them, and I think that uh, the what I loved was that not only was of course a representation of sexuality, of different classes, of many different issues that you have touched upon, and the insight with which you've touched upon them was really amazing to me, quite remarkable, Shobhanti, and I want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
And my favorite stories were very, very, very diverse. And there was Leaving, which I loved, The Man Who Wanted More, which I loved, Little Joyful Things, which I loved, Miss Ladida, which I loved. So there was a lot of different variety in and you had men's voices and women's voices, which
Yeah,
to
so
me is
yeah, I wanted to
that
ask you that because Himanjali and I were wondering, and the team, whether we could get either of you to read in the man's voice, and whether
yeah,
that would, yeah, I
good
wish,
idea.
yeah, yes.
Would
Is
love
it
to have,
tough?
yeah.
Is it tough?
Yeah,
Is
because
it
It is
tough to do?
not
Or
really.
gender fluidity is now something that's
You
very,
keep it, yeah, you keep it gender neutral unless you're dramatizing it. You keep
yes,
it
okay,
gender neutral.
I saw wonderful during the lockdown. Fabulous. The woman is now the artistic head of the Globe. She played Hamlet. She's in her 30s.
yes,
And she's a
yes,
wonderful Hamlet.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
she was
You just
amazing.
forgot she was. It's not important whether she was a man or a woman. It's more
yes.
the dilemma, the character, and what they were going through. But for me, what would be a sort of an important element to choose stories from your collection for a sort of a monologue, dramatic monologues on stage, would be those that lend themselves to drama and that come to a kind of like a short
Have an
story
arc.
which has a twist in the tail or something dramatic that
Yes.
happens. Like in this one, the lockdown one, it's not sort of the archetypical kind of twist in the tail. No, it's not a Poe or a, O. Henry or something, but it has that moment at the end, that moment. So I
See,
think
I
for a
think I like open-ended. For me, open endings are more interesting because it leaves the responsibility with the
of
reader
course,
to figure out.
of
And
Many
I'm
of
course,
just
them.
looking at the ticker where there's a Siddhant Agarwal who says you must consider making the stories into a short play. This was
yes.
for you. I think we
Hmm.
should have a short play on one of the stories from Lockdown Liaison, says Siddhant Agarwal. So thank you very much. I think we've far exceeded our time, and
Yes.
we have Habib, though I could have chatted with both of you
Yeah.
much longer, but we have to catch up properly and do
Yes.
that, and
We will.
not
We will.
wait for Goa to open, which it has, but we'll have to wait for that. So over to you, Himanjali, and thank you again. And
Thank
lots of
you.
virtual hugs, lots of virtual kisses. You did more than justice to the stories. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for that.
Thank you so
Thank
much, Shobhanji.
you.
Thank you, Nanjali.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so
I can
thank
see
you, Shobhaa.
Anandita Day. Sorry. I can see
Oh,
Anandita Day. She's pitched in with. I think there must be a lockdown web series, movie. As stories are so
Yes.
visually appealing, hard hitting, and real. Says a loyal
Love you,
daughter.
Anna.
So it's.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I
Absolutely.
interrupted you, Hemant. Yeah.
no, I was just going to conclude by saying thank you, Shobha. Thank you, Lillete Dubey, Ira Dubey. The performances, readings, they were, in one word, they were magical and like truly inspiring. And the stories, they just came alive with your readings and as we were talking with those gorgeous voices. The conversation was lovely too. I loved the bit on mother-daughter dynamics personally. I have two daughters too. Thank you both. And for those who want to read the stories, and with the publication of this last book in the series, there are 6 books now and 24 stories out there. Do buy them. They are available on Kindle, the Kindle app on smartphones, Google Play, Juggernaut Books. Read, enjoy. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Manjali wanted to say that they can watch this, they can tell friends to watch this later in case they
Yes,
missed
and
it
the
now.
recording will be available. I mean, it'll be there everywhere. It'll be on YouTube, our Facebook page, Twitter. Yeah, you can watch it. And sure, there are lots of people who will be watching it in
Thank
the
you very
Thanks,
comments.
much.
Prasad.
Enjoyed it,
Thanks,
Shobha.
Geeta. A lot
Bye,
of
darling.
friends are logging in to say thanks, Geeta Pandit. Thanks, Prasad Bidappa. There was Sangeeta Vadvani. Thank you all. And yes, I think we did well. Let's see. Yeah, let's
Now we
pat
got to
ourselves
take
on
a
the back a little
break.
bit. Thank you all. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye,
Lots of
bye.
love.
Love you.
Thank you.